Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the farm. After a one-day hiatus and an 1 3/10 inches of rain, or 33-ish millimeters for you metric folk, we are back in action here at the farm. Or at least I hope we're going to be back in action. That is yet to be determined. It is looking highly probable, though. Although the ground may be a little bit soft, I'd really like to get back up to the north and finish picking the rest of that corn. We've probably only got 20 or 25 acres left. That should have been a half-a-day project for one combine. And let's just say between our own personal inefficiencies and the backups at the elevator, it took much longer than that. Unfortunately, though, that's just the way things go on the farm sometimes. I think we may have used up all of our quick project coupons on this 48-foot grain bin. The rest of the year, we're probably not going to have that kind of luck. We're going to go and see what kind of trouble we can get into today. But before we do, everyone make sure you hit that like button and leave a comment down below. It is one of the cheapest and easiest ways that you can support the channel. Every time you interact with the video helps me out a ton. I appreciate you all tuning in. Let's get to work. The 2 days of slow soaking rainfall we got definitely added some moisture to our soybeans. It's going to be a few days before they desaturate enough to the point that we can harvest them. That inclement weather helped speed up the maturity of these soybeans, in my opinion, knocked off a bunch of green leaves and other plant material. These are a 3.9, and I would say within the next week, they would be at a physical place where they could be harvested. I don't know if they test moisture-wise. What that means is over the next 10 days, as long as the weather cooperates, almost all of our soybeans will cut. We're still working on 3.1 beans. These are 3.9, so we're just gonna start there and move forward. This field is a little bit on the sticky side though. Even if these beans would cut, I don't know that we'd take a combine out here today. Although the last few days have been rather gloomy and a little bit chilly, it seems to be about on par for it being the second official day of fall. This morning it was about 45 degrees, had to put on a jacket. I was not expecting to be that cold when I got in my truck. The 10-day forecast does look very favorable for cutting soybeans. Sunshine, very few cloudy days, and highs in the upper 70s and lower 80s. We're gonna get prepared though to start picking some corn in a few hours. We're gonna back that 780 out, close the doors. We still aren't to a point in the year where we're gonna use both combines. Lift up the corn head, Park brake off, speed the engine up a hair. Let's back her out. I don't know whose idea it was to park their truck there, but that was not very well thought out. Very inconvenient. It only took a couple days of harvesting, and windows and mirrors definitely need cleaned. I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm fairly certain as a grain cart operator slash truck driver, cleaning combine windows and mirrors is above my pay grade. They won't even let me run this thing, let alone clean it. These are our field averages from the farm that we were working on the other day and are still going to work on today. 250 bushels an acre dry yield according to the combine, 17.55% moisture on average. That's pretty good. $5 corn, you can't really complain about 250 bushel an acre averages. Assuming that that's right, the yield data on the combine on the 2 soybean fields we cut was about 1%-ish too high. So if you slash 1% off of that, which is 2.5, that's 247.5 bushel corn. I'll take it. Nothing too exciting going on here. Just staging the combine. I climbed up and down the combine ladder one time, and I'm already too warm in this jacket. So either the ambient temperature is going up or I'm very out of shape, or some combination of the two. Since we do have a little bit of waiting to do, we might as well go check out the field and see what kind of a time frame we're working with. This is a much more inviting view than we had last time we showed up to this field. I'd say our prospects are good. I don't know about that, guys. I was under the impression that we were gonna let Mother Nature work on this field for a little bit, dry the crop out and the ground out a little bit before we roll. So I leaned the seat back in my tractor and took a little nap, and next thing you know, the combine showed up and Dad was picking corn, and I was completely right. It is very soft out here. There's already a little bit of mud on the grain cart, and I've only got about 400 bushels on there. You think I need to radio them and tell them it's a little soft out here to be picking corn? Now, I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would guesstimate that we're probably going to pull the plug here and let the ground dry out a little bit more. Although it is very hard to get a four-wheel drive combine stuck on our soils, it's a little early in the year to be making this kind of a mess. Once you get about 60,000 pounds on the grain cart, it becomes a plow in the mud. I told you we'd be quitting. Hopefully I'm not the wash guy this year. I think that we'll definitely see these again today in action. Might need another few hours though. That was a pretty good sign that it was too wet out here. Hey Dad, the ground's a little wet. We gave it about an hour and a half or so to firm up. I don't think it's really done that at all, but the boss just wants to send it. When my dad says jump, I usually complain about it for a few minutes, and then I say how high. I've learned the hard way that when you're harvesting in the mud, it's best to keep the grain cart out of all of the low-lying areas like that right there. Fortunately, this 9460R can pull through a lot of mud, but the tractor I used previously, the 8310R, wasn't quite as capable in all terrains. We're gonna try and pick this corn and not make a mess. Seems a little unnecessary, but that's what Dad wants to do. Only been out here for 5 minutes and already had one combine malfunction. That grain tank extension that we have on top is essentially just another layer of tarp that sits over the main fold of the grain tank. Where the two ones meet on the other side, the bottom one had been blown in from the wind. You can actually see it blowing right now. Maybe from that angle a little bit better. And the grain was dripping in between the crack because they're supposed to overlay. I think the wind is working against us here. Not a major deal, but if it starts spilling a lot of corn, no really good thing about that. Might as well do a little housekeeping here in our office. Take off this little guy if I can get it. Out with the old, in with the new. Now I can impress all my visitors with how clean my tractor smells. Oh, I probably should have eaten my lunch before I touched that, because once you get that fragrance on your hand, pretty much ruins anything you eat with your fingers. Nothing to see here, folks. Wasn't the grain car driver who did that. Tech guy has been summoned to the combine. What's wrong? Okay, I remember how to do it. Applications, auto track guidance, hit the I, row sense on.
Who shut it off?
You probably hit the off button, or you may have had to turn it on. Sometimes it shuts off when you get out. So it should be good to go.
Auto track guidance.
Auto track guidance, and then when you're here, you want to hit this I, and then,
okay.
And that's how you do it. So if it's not on,
try that.
It always helps to have someone who knows how the screens work in a modern farming operation. My dad certainly doesn't, or at least he needs to explain one time or two. Shouldn't have any problems now. Dumping some corn. About the right fit with one 780 and one grain cart. If we had the 670 out here, this would be a nightmare. There's my first strike as the grain cart driver of the day. Combine stopped. Not supposed to happen. We can just swing it around to the south here and continue on that side. Other than the fact that we're only running one of two combines in corn right now, even though we have two corn heads, the biggest problem with the 8-row versus the 12-row, and some of you may disagree that there's more than one problem, is that our dumping time is not long enough based on how fast the combine is picking to dump the combine off all the way before it reaches a spot where we can't continue to dump. With the 12-row, the combine would theoretically be running at 50% slower ground speeds, so I'd have a lot more time to get the grain tank full. It doesn't help that the throughput on this S780 is 4,500 bushels in corn like this anyways. There's really no excuses for the passive Shane when you're the only combine out in the field and also the person who planted the field. So old Marto's got some explaining to do. Only 4 throughs of corn left and we're done with this field. Took us a day longer than it should have. The finish line's the finish line though. This is more like an Ironman than a sprint race. I thought that maybe we'd be the only ones crazy enough to be harvesting today, but just within my eyesight here, I see 4 other combines in operations picking corn. So no one else is afraid of the mud either. Usually when you see other farmers doing it, you're gonna do the same thing. Once we got out of the ponds on the south side of the field, it's actually pretty firm out here. Not ideal, but far from terrible. Literally as I'm saying that, I do that out in the field. Loaded grain cart, it's a plow. Need some tracks. When you gotta make a quick dash from the truck to the combine, you always gotta go at an angle. If you go sideways across the rows, you're gonna bite your tongue off. Just a pro tip from Andy. Last pass. Our work here is done. On to the next one. And let's hope we don't make a mess of the road, because no one wins when we do that. What really stinks is when you have just enough grain on that you can't fit it on one semi. So you got to split it between two trucks, and neither of them are going to be fully loaded because the next field has different ownership, and you can't commingle grain without some kind of good weight on it. I guess I could weigh it and put it on and then load it over at the other field too, but at this point it's headed north. The elevator's to the north, just 2 miles away. Might as well just take it there. Our next field is about 3 or 4 miles to the southeast of here. Got a lot of mud on the tractor and the grain cart right now, so I'm going to try to do some loops out here on the driest part of the field, get some mud off, then we're going to ease ourselves onto the roadway, take it easy, cross the highway, and then once we get on the country road, I'll probably let it eat a little bit, get some of the mud off the tires. We really try to avoid making the roads very messy. Like I said earlier, it doesn't really benefit anyone at all. No one likes to deal with massive chunks of mud on the ground. Plus, this soil out here is the best in the world. Don't really want to give it to someone else. I'm glad that I went slow for the first half mile down the road, because once I sped up after I crossed the highway, it looked like an artillery barrage of mud going everywhere. That's just a part of harvesting when it's wet outside. Try to do our best not to get it on the roads. Sometimes it's inevitable. We're opening up this field. Should be pretty good corn, same type of soil, a little bit of a roll to it. I think that'll be the secret recipe to good yields this year. And my tractor is only a little bit muddy. Woo-wee! That's some good corn right there on the hillside. Oh, there's a 3. Dad just did a 3-point turn in the neighbor's field to open up our inrows and made a little bit of a mess. You hate to see that. Hopefully they don't mind. They're pretty agreeable people. Just kind of tight when you're opening up the field. Speaking of yields, let's take a look at the map from that last field we just finished harvesting. The one nice thing about only having the S780 out here is that our map is going to be complete. We don't have to do any kind of manual uploading because of that 4G LTE modem. It's going to be like a broken record this year. Drainage and soil type are going to have a big difference. According to the combine, that field made 252. A safer bet is probably high 240s, probably made 247 or 248 if I had to guess. These aren't scale verified, but this combine seems to be within 1%. Again, it's going to be like a broken record this year. Topography is going to play a big factor in the yield. Wherever the water got off, the crop is great. You can also look at soil type and maybe see a similar correlation, but it will not be as strong as it is with topography. Other than that though, these large areas that probably had millions of gallons of water on them over the season still seem to yield very well. If the worst part of your field is making 200, you're in pretty good shape. We've got our newest employee here, training him to run the grain cart. He hasn't figured out that you're not supposed to poop in the tractor, but we'll get that all figured out one of these days. Last time he was in a tractor, he slept the whole time. Now he's trying to take over the camera. Oh, he's got it. The elevator that we're hauling to, Tate and Lyle at Cole Station, which is where we've been hauling to the last couple days, has decided to load another train. So we're sitting and waiting on trucks because there's a long wait. Very frustrating, to say the least. Speaking of the devil, when the elevator's holding you up, you gotta load the trucks heavy. Good luck tarping that one, Jeff. It doesn't help our logistics team when the yield monitor is showing that. Don't take those yields as gospel. I'll let you know at the end of the field, if we even get it done, what it actually verifies to with scale tickets. Right now, the combine is showing that we're running 278 bushel an acre dry. That is the dry average in this farm right now. You can see the roll to it. I think that that may be a big factor. Don't hold your breath though. I would like to see the actual numbers over the scales before I make a statement that this corn is that good. The grain cart's full. The combine couldn't hold another bushel if you tried. So now we wait. Should have brought like a Game Boy or something to kill some time. It's broken. There's some pretty impressive dry yields there. That completes our short intermission. Chris is just showing up with the 10-wheeler. That'll buy us another 3 minutes of harvesting. I was about 33% low. 9 minutes is how much time it took to get a full hopper and a full grain cart. Now we wait on trucks again. We do have a third semi and hopper bottom in the barn back home. It's kind of our backup truck. We haven't used it in probably a decade. It's in good shape, although it's not licensed or tested to run. So even if we did want to get it out and had an extra driver, which we don't, we'd have to take it and get licensed and get it tested and approved for the road. That would alleviate our bottleneck a tiny bit, although I don't think it's an end-all be-all solution because we would still be waiting. I'm sure my dad regrets taking the truck to the elevator as opposed to making me take it, him stay in the combine, and Katie get in the grain cart. 60 minutes at Coal Station is not any fun, especially when you don't have air conditioning. It is pretty nice out though, so I can't complain. I'm sitting here with the windows open, nice breeze, enjoying this fall weather. And 30 minutes after I parked the grain cart, here comes Dad in a semi. That would have been at least a 60-minute round trip for a 5-minute away elevator. The hood is up on the semi and there's a meeting of the minds going on. That's never a good sign. Also, the last thing we need is a truck to go down. This one's already got a bum transmission. That one's got a sensitive engine. The results are in. That truck has some oil in the water right now, which is a very bad sign. Quite a bit of oil in the water. So we're taking it home and unhooking it. And now we're down to one semi and we may be hitting up that truck in the barn pretty soon. To my surprise, the line does not look very long here, so maybe we'll be in and out pretty quick. Gonna need to speed things up though when we have a whole truck out of the operation right now. Our trucking fleet was already our shortfall for the year, and now it's become even shorter. This does not help our cause by any means. Come on, please go in here. It went much faster than I anticipated. I don't normally take the trucks into town. Since that field is too wet to turn around in though, this is going to be the quickest way for me to get where I need to be and headed the right direction. A necessary evil. Alrighty, we're back in the main office after taking a few loads to the elevator in quite a hurry because we're trying to get as much corn off of this field as possible before the elevator closes at 7. It is about 6:55. I loaded Jeff. He will not make it to the elevator. They have sped up a little bit there, which is good. Increased our capacity a little bit here. However, our truck is definitely down. We went ahead, took the truck and the trailer home to the barn, unhooked the trailer, had the truck towed down to Rush Truck Centers in Effingham, which is just 30 miles south of here, a really big truck shop. We hooked up the replacement semi. That is what I get for talking about that. I said we haven't used it in over a decade, and within 20 minutes of me saying that, the other truck is out of commission. I don't necessarily believe in karma or jinxing things, but I very well may have just done that. Regardless, the other one's going to be licensed here by tomorrow. We're going to have it tested first thing in the morning. We'll have 3 trucks again. We probably should have had 4 trucks all along. That's beside the point though. We're going to finish up for the night, pick the rest of this corn, load the trucks, load the cart, and call it quits. That was my last dump for the night. Grain cart's full. It's closing time for the night, and I'm not gonna fight, because tomorrow will be right, and we can harvest some corn with 3 trucks, as opposed to 2. The nicest thing about quitting before it's pitch black outside is you can actually see to walk out of the field, not trip on any of these corn stalks and cut yourself open. Today was another impressively unproductive day of picking corn. I think it made our antics the other day seem fast. There she is, our savior. The old International, hasn't been ran in a long time. Charging the batteries up. It's got a 10-speed, so we don't have to worry about the transmission crapping out on us. Or at least not the automatic transmission. Chris is back. Regardless though, I think that's more than enough farming for one video. If not for you, definitely for me. I appreciate you all tuning in. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day everyone. Peace!